Hello, welcome to another C1 video with your English teacher Steve, exclusive on YouTube, unless you want to call me for a private class. Today we are looking at the CAE Writing Part 2. It's a formal letter again. We already did a letter of complaint. This one's a little bit more positive. It's a letter of application. We will be looking at the content that should go in and the conventions you should stick to. We'll look at lots of model answers and how you can read more to pick up, to improve this kind of writing. And we'll look at some useful phrases, as we always do for these writings, to try and give you some practical tips, some things you can really take away from the video. So let's get into this application letter. As always, this is what you will see in the exam. It's a fairly brief task, one of the options you can choose from. I really like it because it's a positive piece of writing. You can write about yourself, and that's the most fascinating subject in the world. In this example, it is write a university application letter, write about the course you want to study, why, and say why they should accept you. A very typical application letter. You will have something like this or something for a job. The basics of the question are the same, the focus is the same. It's why you want it and why you should be given it. And you need to keep that in mind while you write about your personality, your skills, your experience and achievements, and how it fits with the job or course. And then include all the correct salutations, conventions, letter structure, all of that kind of thing. But that's basically what you'll be doing. And of course, the important thing I'm trying to get across in this video is the style of writing. It's a positive style of writing. You're selling yourself. You're maybe being a little bit dishonest at times, but that's fine. You can stretch the truth. You can describe yourself in a positive way. Say you work too hard, you're a workaholic, you're a perfectionist, all these silly things that people say. Right, we're going to start with an example then, because I think, as always, the most useful thing to do is look at examples. And we're going to look at a real example, because this handsome young man here is me 10, 11, 12 years ago when I was working in the UK. And I was a language teacher in the UK, but I didn't find it so rewarding because they didn't really want to learn French and Spanish, which is what I was teaching. So I wanted to go abroad and try something else, try teaching English abroad. And obviously for this, I needed to get a job. I needed to write application letters. And as always in the Cambridge exam, they want a real good piece of writing. I mean, real, good, not really good. But because it's real, this shows that you can write in that style, and that style should be, like we said, positive, selling yourself. These are the kind of functions they want to see that you can use. So we're going to look at my example of an application letter to the international school where I currently work, and it got me the job. So it can't be that bad, can it? I mean, I don't know, maybe they were desperate for new teachers, but it's a good school. I'm very happy there. It got me the job. That's the thing that I always find remarkable about application letters. Just think, you apply for some job, your dream job, big salary, good colleagues, challenging work, all of that. There is an application letter that if you can craft it just the right way, if you can touch the heart and mind of the person reading it, there is an application letter that will get you an interview, that will get you the job. You just have to know how to write it, and that's a skill that you can learn. But that letter does exist somewhere if you can carve it out of marble like a statue. Right then, my example. So this is going to be over 3 slides. As always, the text will be in the description, so you can do it in a more comfortable way on a document or a handout or whatever. But what I want us to do with this text is to think about what content and conventions make it an application letter, which means, first of all, can you underline or put in bold or something all the positive vocabulary and ideas? So you can see right at the start the kind of adjectives I'm going to use: hardworking, energetic, innovative. These are all positive, aren't they? They're also the kind of words you would find on Use of English Part 3. Work, hardworking, energy, energetic, innovate, innovative. So it's good for grammar. So as you read through, think of positive expressions and words, underline them, circle them, whatever. Then thinking about the content, and I've divided it into 4. If you've got highlighters, that would be great. Can we think about where I mention my personality, my skills, my experience, and my achievement? And we should find that there's a good balance of all of them. And that I'm not wasting any words, effectively. None of it is just talking because I want to talk. Everything is trying to add something to the letter. So we're thinking about the content of the letter and about the communication, because obviously all these things are selling myself in a positive way. So as I said, go through it, all 3 slides if you want, and think about personality, skills, experience, achievement, and positive language. And here's what I found, if you agree with me. We can see positive language, talking about my personality, passionate, my experience where I've taught before at a flagship academy, meaning it's like a leading, innovative academy. It was one of the first academies in England. That's just a secondary school, but now they call them academies because it sounds more like ancient Greece, sounds more, philosophical and impressive. I mentioned my achievements or qualifications, and I have a degree. And I've gone into a bit of detail because I want to show that I've got more strings to my bow, as they say. I think that's the right expression. And if you've got something good, show it off. I do have a C2 certificate in French 10 years ago, and now I barely speak any French. But it did happen, and I can show you the certificate. Outstanding. You can see my experience in a difficult school, but I overcame it. My skills, what I like to do in my classroom, I'm being specific. And we can continue with my breadth of experience again. I'm teaching lots of different things, selling them. This is a good achievement. I'm making money, but I'm not just selling them, I'm selling them to hundreds of students. So I'm really focusing on what I've done and adding a bit of detail. Again, experience in multinational companies. Wow, very impressive. Okay, I was just talking to the local director of the bank and the local human resources worker, but it's true, I was working in multinational companies. A little bit of my philosophy, my personality coming across about sharing culture, very relevant for the teaching job, of course. And finally, again, experience outside of the classroom, trying to understand people, all these kind of things, and make it a bit personal. I love cricket. I don't think I've mentioned that in any videos yet, but we've had a great summer with the Ashes. So mention it, take a personal touch, and then again, completing marathons of personal touch, and all being very positive, and finishing with your typical finishing expression, closing expression of hope to hear from you soon, happy to conduct an interview, and so on. And again, there's a reason we use these closing expressions, because they are positive, good, showing availability, willingness, and showing that you know the tricks of the game, you know these expressions. So make sure to close your letter with an expression like this. So that's a real example, and please try and understand the ideas in it, what I'm saying about being positive, and use some of the vocab. Obviously, I'm a firm believer, is a lovely expression you can use for anything else. I actively seek opportunities to do what? What do you actively seek opportunities to do? These are all good expressions showing why they should accept you in the job or on the course. And that's what we want in the exam. Let's go back to this first question we saw then, which is a more traditional Cambridge question. But again, we need to approach it with a very real perspective. They want something that would really get you into a university. Like, to get a good mark on this question, you should write something that would be a good university application. That's what they want. Then they say this means relevant content, good communication. Well, what is good communication? It means selling yourself, being positive, like you would for a university application. Clear organization and accurate, ambitious language, same as always with the criteria. So this means writing a good university application. How are you going to write a good university application? Well, let's find out from the people who accept people at university. In the UK, this is an organisation called UCAS, which is University and Colleges Admissions or Application System, Society, something maybe. This is, we're going to do something a bit different. Feel free to skip the next 5 minutes if you want, but I think it's very useful because, as I said, this is really what they want in an application letter. This is the representative of UCAS saying what makes a good application letter. They call it a personal statement because that's what it's called in the UCAS application system, but it's a letter saying why you should be accepted at university. So we're going to listen to this, and as you listen, again, I'll put this in the description, in a text in the description. Feel free to copy and paste it and do it like a listening part 2, meaning you need to complete the sentences with a word or short phrase that you hear in the listening. Really, it's just about paying attention to what they're saying in the listening, so you think about how to write a good personal statement. Okay, let's listen.
It's scary. You're sitting there, there's a blank sheet of paper, it's in front of you. You've got to fill it up. You've got to talk about yourself. You've got to talk about your interest in the course. But what do you put? This is your future. It's scary. Well, nobody knows you better than you know yourself. You have the opportunity now to show why you're so much better than everybody else applying for your course. So you've got to start thinking about what makes you stand out, but stand out in a good way. I'm Jane Marshall. I work for a university. I spend my life reading personal statements. I read lots of them, and I mean lots. That means I know what makes a good personal statement and what makes a bad personal statement. You have to remember everybody's unique. There are lots of different ways of going about it. So this should get you well on the way to writing an excellent personal statement. So, where do you start? Well, the first thing you need to do is start getting words down on that blank sheet of paper. Loads of them, whatever you can think of. Why are you so excited about the course you're applying for? What is it that gets you really excited about that particular course? What floats your boat? Be excited, be positive, don't be negative. Don't say something like, I've always wanted to be a dentist because it's so much easier than being a doctor, because that isn't positive. Focus on the positives. Tell us how you got excited about this particular course. Did you read an article about something? Did it get you inspired? Did you then go and see a lecture from somebody that made you think, wow, I'm so excited, I'm going to write a project on that? That's the sort of thing we're looking for. And you can get all of this evidence from work experience, outside reading, all the sorts of things you do that back up your interest in the course. So throw those examples at the page. Get excited. Once you've got the stuff down about the course, then you've got to start thinking about the skills you've got that would help you cope with that particular course. Transferable skills, stuff like communication, essay writing, leadership, that sort of thing. And you've got to start throwing more words at the page until something sticks. If you're getting stuck, ask your friends and family. They might be able to come up with some ideas. Occasionally they don't. Avoid saying things like, I know I can be an excellent teacher because my friends tell me I'm really good at telling people what to do all the time. Because think about what that's saying about you. Then think about what's exciting about you, what makes you unique. Think of what you do that's interesting, what makes you stand out. And remember, you may not think it's interesting, but somebody else will. You might like gaming, you might like gardening, you might like train spotting. So will somebody else. So get something like that down on paper as well. So, what do you do next? You've got this big sheet of paper with all of these words on it, and you've got to get it into something resembling a personal statement. That means you've got to squash it, you've got to condense it. So you need to start off with a really punchy opening paragraph. This is the bit where you tell us how incredibly excited you are about the course you're applying for and that you really understand what it is you're getting yourself into. Then you move on to the middle paragraph. That's the chunky bit. That's full of all the evidence you're going to need to prove your interest in the particular course. You're also going to sprinkle in some of the bits about your skills and good qualities so we know you can actually do it, but that's your middle paragraph. And then you move on to the end bit, and that's the bit about the personal touch. This is the bit where you tell us you are unique. You tell us about the things you're interested in that will help you fit into university life as a whole. So, what do you avoid? Well, the first thing is verbal diarrhea. You've got to keep focused. You haven't got enough space to go off-piste, so make sure you're being relevant about the course you're applying for. That's really important. Other things to avoid: showing off. Don't be arrogant. It's absolutely fine to back yourself up using lots of relevant examples. That's called good showing off. But don't be bad showing off. That is arrogance. Avoid flowery language. Keep it to plain English. We need to understand what you're actually trying to say, so avoid the honour and the privilege of a particular work experience. Just focus on plain English. Avoid cliches. I don't want to see anybody saying, I've wanted to be a doctor ever since I was born.
Okay, there we go. Lots of great advice there. And if you want to, play the video again, if you want to treat it like a real part 2 listening. And as I said, it's full of good advice, so you're only going to learn useful things. But these are the answers. You need to stand out, don't you? The same as the whole point of this in a Cambridge exam is to show something that stands out to get that C1 level. How do you do this? Well, you write a plan. A plan means just getting words down on paper. When you're it's good for applying to university, good for a C1 writing. Start getting some ideas down. You've got a long time to plan. Get some ideas down, then start thinking which ones fit best, how you're going to develop them. Make it something you're passionate about. The more passionate you are about it, the better it will come across in your writing. What floats your boat? which means what excites you. It's a nice little expression. Then we're thinking about why you're excited again. So you read an article on this topic which made you interested in a Cambridge exam. It made you interested in working at a summer camp, for example. That's a common one, a job at a summer camp. You write an application because I read an article about your summer camp, or I read an article about how play can help young people develop, and so on. You went to a lecture on the topic, you wrote a project. Wow, being very active. Of course, you need to back up what you're saying. If you say that you are very interested in this topic, well, what did you do? If you say that you've got good communication skills, show me an example. What does that mean? How do you know? You need to show transferable skills. This is really important because, of course, in many of these cases, you're applying for a job that you've never done before. So what evidence do you have that you can do this job? Well, you can say, I know in this job I will need communication skills. Of course, I have learned this in projects I have done at school, or in projects in other jobs, or in my free time, in my volunteering, and so on. As for writing style then, again, the plan, a punchy opening, as in I'm really excited and I really want this job, and catch their attention a bit. Then the chunky part, which is where you've got the body, where you've got all the detail about your skills, the evidence, qualifications, and so on. And then a bit of a personal ending to try and show the human side as well, as you saw in my example. Avoid verbal diarrhea, if you can believe that's how we spell diarrhea in English, but as in keep it relevant, don't go off-piste, or else they will get pieced off. So keep it relevant, again, that's like a Cambridge criteria. And avoid flowery language, stick to plain English. This is also true for Cambridge exams. You've got a word limit for a reason. They want to see, as I said, your qualifications, skills, experience, achievements, in personality. So write about that. Don't spend ages saying, as she said, it is an honor to apply to this fantastic job that I've... No. Why do you get the job, and why you want it, and why they should give it to you, and so on. Stick to that. Okay, so having done that, let's look at another answer for a university application letter. This one's going to be a bit different again, how we do it. What we're going to do is look at a real example from online. This is a great little website that I will put in the link, universitycompare.com, where you can find lots of examples of university application letters. This one we're looking at is to study business and marketing. I chose this because it's completely different from anything I've studied, and I wanted to be outside of my comfort zone. And as I was reading it, I was thinking, why is this a good personal statement? Because I think it was quite good. It's a real one from a student who went to university. What makes it good? And I identified some features that I think are good that you could then use in your own writing. So for example, other people valuing your work. I mean, it's fine to say, I did a great job, but what would be really impressive is someone gave me a prize for this work I did. Someone commended me, someone said, and then we're showing like, oh, it's not just you think you're great, other people think you're great. The skills and the course you want to study, I talked about that, transferable skills. A personal touch, we talked about that. An event which caught their attention. So again, you're showing that you are really interested in this topic, in this job, in this course, because you've gone and done something about it. You're not just sitting at home playing video games, eating Doritos. Examples of specific knowledge you've picked up to show that you know what you're talking about a bit. A project you've done by yourself to show independence, to show that you're being, in the next one, proactive as well. So trying to be proactive. So in this example, which you can pause and read here, or you can look at the text in the description, as I said, it's a student who wants to study marketing, and they talk about why they got interested in it, go into a bit of detail about how a film is advertised and then makes lots of money, what they study at the moment and the skills it gives them, and go into a bit more detail about, English giving you these skills and analytical skills and so on. Achievements, winning a place on a program, getting a paid internship, which is quite impressive. Little details like this, not just I did work experience, no, a paid internship. That's quite rare to get paid when you're a student to do work experience. What tasks you had there, and then volunteering. These are great examples. You can see the adjectives, some of them the same as mine, reliable, eager, teamwork, all these things, and a little closing phrase I look forward to furthering, I look forward to experiencing, and so on. And ending with a little quote, which is quite nice. If you've gone through it and identified these 7 factors, which I recommend doing, reading it in detail, thinking about why this is a good personal statement, you should find something like this. We can see that they won a place on the school's Media Academy program, which means someone accepted them. They valued their work. A paid internship, again, someone valued their work. Literally, they gave them money for it. Skills, we saw this a lot. Marketing, networking, analytical in English. The personal touch, well, finishing with a quote that means something to you, talking about where they live at the start, which has influenced their decision to study this course. The event was a lecture. The course-specific knowledge about marketing, digital marketing, knowing how it's different in different countries. I think, yeah, that seems plausible to me. It seems like something that would be important in marketing. There's their own marketing campaign, very impressive. And volunteering at a fashion show. Volunteering is being proactive. So that's one nice example of a personal statement. There are loads on that website. What I would tell my class to do if we were writing a personal statement, my real physical class of little boys and girls, would be to go on that website, find one they are interested in, a subject, a job area they are interested in, read a personal statement, thinking about grammar and vocabulary and so on, useful expressions, but also thinking about what makes it a good personal statement using these categories, because most of these personal statements will be full of this kind of thing, if they are good personal statements, which I think most of them are. So feel free to do that since you are my YouTube class as well. I'll leave the link in the description. Go and read some personal statements and study them. What makes this a good personal statement? How can I use this language, these ideas, in my C1 writing for a letter of application? That's the kind of thing they want to see. You can just write a very typical letter of application that you'll probably see in any textbook. But this activity I'm giving you, this is a step above, a level up. That's like really impressive C1 writing that it would give you. Okay, let's move on to some useful phrases. There's a bit more hands-on now. We've got something a bit more typical. What we've got here is we've got lots of nice positive nouns, and your activity is to turn them into adjectives to describe yourself, to describe the work you're doing using adjectives in a positive way, and do it. And here are the answers. You are motivated, committed, determined, cheerful, enthusiastic or keen, very common on Cambridge exams, energetic, organised, well organised, talented, skilled or skillful, and a confident person. Of course you are. And if you want a little bit more, there you go. There's some more. Most of these were things my students picked out from real application letters. So these are expressions that have really been used in application letters. You know it's good, authentic, natural English, the kind of collocations that a real native person would use, and the kind of writing that is effective in a letter of application, because this is what people are writing. So what I'd recommend is having this, and as always, trying to adapt them to your work. When you're going to sit down and do a practice exam, use these, but adapt them. How do you use them in a sentence? This thinking process is what you need to get better at so you can do it in the exam. All right, to finish then, this is a little summary. We're going to look at one last example, one last question. Think about what makes a good C1 writing. This one we can see is a real C1 writing. It is not mine or some random English students. It's just a real 260 words C1 writing. The question is, working on a cruise ship, send us your letter of application. Why you want to work for us, experience, qualities. It's exactly what I said. Why do you want to work here? Why should we hire you on this cruise ship? You really want to work there? Okay, it's your decision. You're young, you want to have these different kind of experiences. Well, we're going to start by looking at 2 different examples. Feel free to pause them, read them. Your question is, well, firstly, which one is better? Why? Who gets the job? When I say which one is better, put yourself in the position of a hiring manager. You are running this ship, or you're contributing to running this ship. Which one of these people are you going to hire? That is the better C1 writing. That is directly what it is. It's the same thing. A better C1 writing is a better letter of application in real life. Write a good letter of application, get a good C1 mark. Who gets the job? The answer obviously is Pernilla Axelsson, this young Swede who you definitely want working on your ship. Why? We can think about it in terms of, why is it a good application letter? Well, look at the criteria of an exam. The content is detailed and developed. No experience, but in a waitress, English, personal qualities, all developed, all very clear why she fits the job. In terms of communication, it's all positive, isn't it? Determination, commitment, perfect opportunity, confidently, organized, easygoing, success, full of positive words. The organization, we have the correct opening and closing. It's all well linked, although I say correct opening and closing, like I said, I prefer dear hiring manager for a letter of application, because sir or madam is extremely sexist and old-fashioned. So dear hiring manager is better, but you'll get away with it, it's fine. Full name at the end, good. Don't just say, write to me soon, Harry. I'm not sure Harry really wants this job. Maybe someone just told him he had to do it, but I'm not sure he really wants the job. And in terms of language, well, look at the range of language. We've got lots of nice things. Crew members, onboard experience, attending classes, myself, using the reflexive, often thought, it's just very nice range of language and grammar. So this is clearly a better answer. Write something like this and you'll write a good letter of application. You'll get the job, you'll get your dream place at university. Thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful. See you next time.